Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Marketing Invisible. I'm Tom Poland, beaming out to you from the very sunny Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia, and very unusually joined by a local, Ben Wright. G'day. I normally say from down under, but I can't. I do just say across the lake, basically, because you're pretty. Whereabouts are
I'm in Noosa Heads, so I'm living about 3 kilometres from the beach in a beautiful, kind of subtropical little piece of paradise. I fled the city and have landed in the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah, when you saw the light and moved to where the sun mostly shines.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, folks, Ben is a builder of sales teams. He's built teams from the ground up in the corporate world, in fast growth startups, in mature businesses. One of his latest projects just won an award, 2 years running, in fact, because he took the sales team, scaled it from $0 to 40 million annual recurring revenue in just 7 years, which is pretty freaking astonishing. We're going to try to drill down though today on a subject that I think will be relevant to you as our audience, as coaches, consultants, trainers, etc. This title is "How to Network with Intention." So really getting into the weeds of sales and marketing. Ben, thanks for joining us. Question number one, sir. Our 7 minutes is going to start as soon as I find the app, but let's rip into it. Question number one is, who's your ideal client?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me today, Tom. So my ideal client actually emanates from where I was across most of the journeys in my businesses, and that is a sales leader, or for businesses that haven't quite reached that stage of having a sales leader yet, the sales leader or business owner that's trying to build out a standard process into their sales team. So we think a sales team without strategy, a sales team without direction, who is looking to build really fast and pull those growth levers. They're the types of businesses that I tend to work with in droves.
Okay, and what's the problem you solve for them? That's question two.
Yeah, and that one, it's interesting as well. That actually emanated again from positions I've been at multiple places in my career. And that was moments when I started working with my first coach where I'd be at home and I was never present at dinner. At dinner time, I had my little one there and we just weren't quite connecting because I was off with the day. So the problem I generally solve is that nagging need at the back of the head that says, what am I going to do to bring sales in tomorrow and the next day and next month so that I can focus on the rest of my business or the rest of what I need to do with leading my team.
So getting it out of the head and into some form of process.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's just getting the worry out of that head into a former process where you know you will deliver
Interesting.
consistent results again and again. Yeah.
Right. And I guess that consistency and the planning and the predictability that comes from that means you can be with your family when you're with your family and not, you know, have your body sent home or your brain still at work. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that that's a really interesting twist because it brings in that personal dynamic of how if we're not organized and don't have a predictable sales process, it can really invade our personal lives as well and kind of pollute it in a way. What would
Yeah.
you say? You've mentioned already one of the symptoms, which is, if you don't have this process in place, it's easy to be distracted when you're with loved ones and so on. Any other symptoms that people could recognize and say, ah, yeah, that's happening for me as well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. One of the key ones is you feel like that you are fighting constant sales fires or individual personalities if you're a leader. So you have a team of salespeople who are all out there doing slightly different things. And you spend so much time on each individual and managing their needs rather than starting with a broader process and then tweaking for those individual needs. That's a really common symptom.
And right, so kind of random acts of activity all over the place, but nothing streamlined, focused, rinse and repeatable. You work with a lot of people who are keen to get sales in the door, obviously,
Yeah.
and they're going to be trying stuff. So, what would you say are some of the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to fix their sales teams? And you might be able to look at that as a professional and go, "Okay, that was never going to work." Sorry.
Yeah. For me, one of the key mistakes is trying to be everything to everyone. So rather than stepping back and looking at where you can really deliver value to a customer, those customers that you look at and at the end of their journey, you can be so confident that they've had a great result with your business, that you really drive in hard on those. You actually tend to stretch out across every type of potential customer to the business. So you're okay at a lot of things rather than being brilliant at your niche areas. I think that's one key mistake. I think the second piece is again is very much around those short term horizons where you're looking at things for today and tomorrow rather than understanding your broader sales cycle and customer lifetime value, so that you end up chopping and changing far too much without being consistent to do the same things again and again and again that deliver those pieces of it.
Bingo. I think that's it. So that's what you're helping people with. And it probably leads us into our next question, which is the top tip for people. This idea of, I know, first of all, I work back from the client I want to have as a client that I can add value to. And so I filter out prospects that don't fit that profile. And then what I'm hearing you saying is you identify steps that you can take perhaps every morning or one day a week that is going to deliver those sort of prospects. Is that a fair summary, or do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's a very fair summary, and really it comes down to how you're managing your schedule and your time and your team around that, around balancing the urgent, which is sometimes important, but not always, with the strategically important, and giving yourself some time to work on both to drive your
Yep.
business rather than one leading the other.
Right. So the identification of the actions that are going to lead you to the right prospect, rinse and repeatable, and then you can relax at night with your family. Is there another top tip you could give people? And let's focus now specifically on networking. What's a top tip, or can you unpack that a little bit and just give people some nuggets on networking and prospecting via networking, whether it's online or offline?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about networking, there's networking for participation, to feel good, you're there, you're meeting people, and you're contributing to whatever the community is. And then there's networking with intention. And that means you are there to drive the health of your business and grow your business. For me, the number one tip for any of these networking events, to reduce that little pang of anxiety that often comes before these, is to know your audience, know who's going to be there, and have some specific targets you want to talk to. 5, 8, 10 people you want to meet, know who they are, pre-prepare what you want to talk about, and then you go with a mission rather than feeling a little bit lost. That is by far my number one tip when it comes to networking with intention.
Yeah, that's a fabulous tip, to go in with intention and a clear profile of the people you want to speak to and what are you going to say to them. Let's direct people to more information. Pardon me. Where can people go to find out more about your work and your processes?
Look, I'm very heavy on LinkedIn. You can find lots and lots of me there. But if you're wanting to know more about some of the key work we do, www.strongersalesteams.com is fantastic. And then if you add a /sales process to that, there's some nice pieces in there for downloads.
Yeah, how to develop a sales process that is simple to implement and delivers results. Beautiful. All right, so that's strongersalesteams.com/sales process. 32 seconds left, Ben. Question 7. What's the one question I should have asked you but didn't? And the answer, please.
Where do I start when it comes to lead generation?
Oh, great.
And my answer to that is it'll be to probably link you back to one of my podcasts, episode 86, the Stronger Sales Teams podcast with Ben Wright. But the key piece here is to find out what works for you. Most businesses will have a history of what has worked. Start by doubling down on what's worked in the past. Double down, triple down, and then you'll see momentum build.
Perfect. Ben Wright, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for checking out our Marketing the Invisible podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to generate 5 fresh leads in just 5 hours, then check out www.5hourchallenge.com.